Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Wiki Weekends. I'm your host for this episode, Lucas Holland, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Karl Smallwood.
Hello.
And Karl, today, not as of recording, but as of the episode going out, we are into spooky season.
Yes, we will be, won't we? So, actually,
we are.
I not did a spooky video, did I? Oh,
you didn't do anything spooky.
Mine goes up on... the one that goes up on Saturday. Shit, we better start thinking about spooky season. I didn't realise. You have to plan so far ahead when you make content.
See, I was thinking about spooky season, and I figured we could talk about a spooky character known as Scarecrow.
Is this the Scarecrow, or just scarecrows in general?
This is not a scarecrow in the middle of a field. This is your Batman Rogues Gallery Scarecrow.
I like how he has a cameo in the next one, and his cameo is he's just selling drugs. It's like what?
And then he also is in the third one as well, right? And he's when the city goes into chaos, he's like a judge and jury.
Sold. We ran in the cold sweat.
Dr. Jonathan Crane, also known as the Scarecrow, is a Gotham City supervillain and a major enemy of Batman. Why? Why would you do it?
Do you know what the thing as well is? You could just say the first four letters of that, he is a goth. Because he's so committed to the Scarecrow gimmick, despite it being super fucking lame. So
and
the Joker's probably got the lamest one, but he's kind of iconic, I guess.
There are some interpretations that make him rather cool.
Yeah, I like him in the Arkham games where he looks like a monster, but that's only because you're scared of him. I like that idea of he just looks like a dude.
I quite like the interpretation in Injustice that you talked about. At first he's just a dude, but then when he's fighting, he's hit you with fear toxin and looks really intimidating.
And really scary.
But actually isn't.
You belong in Arkham, Scarecrow. So I can break out again.
Scarecrow was created by Batman creators Bill Finger and Bob Kane. He first appeared in World's Finest Comics number 3 in fall 1941. His costume, lanky appearance, and surname were all inspired by Ichabod Crane of the horror fable The Legend of the Sleepy Hollow. The Scarecrow is an overly obsessive and deranged ex-professor of psychology who uses a variety of drugs and psychological tactics to use the fear and phobias of his adversaries. And obviously, that's the reason that he's one of the first Rogues Gallery members of Batman's, is because the idea of fighting Batman with fear is really cool, because the entire point is Batman's strength is using his fear against his enemies, and now his enemies using that against him. It's a really cool concept, and we've got a couple of really good interpretations of more recent times, like Arkham Asylum Scarecrow.
It feels like, as much as I joked about him being lame at the start, visually, all of the interpretations we've had have been very distinct.
Yeah.
And they've all been quite strong. So as the Joker, who's probably the most famous member of the Rogues Gallery, he's very hit or miss.
You didn't like the Suicide Squad Joker or the Injustice 2 Joker?
Blah, 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 blah.
That's something he's very hit or miss with his thing, but most of Scarecrow has been really strong. I think it's because that burlap sack over the head look it's so inherently frightening. Scarecrows inherently look quite frightening because of they're all weird contorted angles and stuff.
Yeah, it's it becomes that weird, almost uncanny valley, but in the horror sense of they're this kind of twisted, almost human figure.
Yeah.
But obviously they're not humans, they're scarecrows, and I like the idea of scarecrows look a bit weird in the field, don't they? And obviously a lot of the time people will mistake scarecrows in the distance for someone they should be scared of or something. And
Crows certainly do, yeah.
Crows certainly do.
So I guess we have to kind of mention the thing we always mention is of the moment that sucks Batman's dick the hardest is when they say Darkseid's Omega beams, which in canon never miss and can hit the Flash, who can run at the speed of faster than the speed of light. Batman dodges them by backflipping really hard.
Yep.
And
he just does a couple of backflips and he misses.
It's that thing we always say, like, the time it would take Batman's muscles to respond to the message from his brain to do the backflip, the Omega Beam's gone through his skull.
If they can hit the Flash, then yeah. This is why I really like the Scarecrow, is because Scarecrow isn't this, like, overpowered nightmare. He's just a dude that, again, psychological warfare is against Batman. Mm-hmm. And it's so cool. Like, some of the visuals from Batman Begins, for example, like, when just you get the cop on the horse coming in, and all of a sudden it's like this nightmare creature where the, like, horse rears up and is, like, breathing fire or whatever.
There's nothing to fear but fear itself. I'm here to help.
Yeah, although I will say it's fucking stupid that they say the plot point is when it all turns to steam. It's like, so no one in Gotham took a hot shower?
Or just, like, why is it not affected in the, like, drinking water? Again, like, it's meant to be that it's vapor.
Yeah.
It's got to be vapor, but yeah, like, is no one boiling a kettle?
No one got a hot shower. No one made pasta.
Yeah,
which I don't believe, because they have an Italian-American crime family who exclusively do business at a fucking pasta restaurant. So you tell me they're not boiling their pasta?
Just everyone is tripping the fuck out in that restaurant.
Because it is like that, like, live-action Nolan series. One of the series where, like, the more you ask questions about it, like, it's such a good but the more you ask questions, the less stuff actually makes sense. Because I can't think of any film where there's so many. Every film has a plot point that makes no sense.
I honestly think that is Christopher Nolan in a nutshell. It's like, if you try to sit there and break down his movies, they don't actually make much sense. But that almost makes his movies more impressive because you get that lost in the moment.
Yeah, because that's the
none of it matters anyway. You just get taken away by the films.
Because I think it's like every single one of the Batman movies has one of those plot points, but they only ever get brought up after the fact. Like, the Batman Begins one, like, you're watching the film and then you think, this is amazing. Then you think about afterwards, like, wait, water vapor? No one boiled water, no one got a hot shower. The second movie was like The Joker, of like, wait, Batman just somehow got all the way to China and back into, like, international airspace and committed an act of, basically, espionage on foreign soil. That's never brought up. The third one, of, like, Batman somehow has no money. Like, they just say, you lost all your stocks in one day, and the bank repossessed your house the next day, and turn your electricity off.
While in that scenario where he is poor man Bruce Wayne, made it back to Gotham in a matter of 0 seconds, and without any help from a prison in the middle of nowhere,
and painted a giant bat symbol in petrol on the bridge.
I reckon he got Robin to do that.
That one always gets me. That one though, of like the day where Bane attacks the stock exchange with machine guns it's like, it is national news that this happened. And they say, well, on that same day as well, Bruce Wayne made some pretty poor choices on the stock market. For some reason, he leveraged all of Wayne Enterprises. And, like, at no point does anyone find that suspicious, or none of, like, the million high-paid lawyers he has. He's like, it's obvious that this wasn't him.
Yeah, this may be almost some act of crime and not Bruce Wayne, like, just bargaining his entire capital in one go.
It's like the day that terrorist attacked the stock exchange, the most famous, wealthy businessman in the city somehow also made, like, trades that lost all his money at once.
It's a stock exchange. There's no money you could steal.
Really? And why are you people here?
But, you know, it's one of those things of the fact that while you're watching them, this isn't screaming out to you, and it does make the fact that, like, yeah, these are still fantastic films.
Yeah, and you only notice that after the fact, and the fact you don't notice it initially is, like, a testament to how well constructed they are as movies.
But I do really just love the use of the Scarecrow in the first movie, Batman Begins, because, like, yeah, Ra's al Ghul is meant to be the main villain, I suppose. Like, that's the one that they round out the movie with and is, like, quote unquote more important. But the way that they utilize Scarecrow / Jonathan Crane is, I think, really well done, and it kind of, to me, legitimized the character a little bit more.
Yeah, it's like the Joker, wasn't it? The Joker was not I'm not saying that people didn't take him seriously, but people's idea of the Joker in their head was either Jack Nicholson Joker, who's like, a threat in those movies, but is very wacky. You have like Jack Nicholson hamming it the fuck up, and then before that you had that guy, Cesar Romano, was it? I think his name was, or the guy.
Yes,
who played him in the '60s Batman, and then you had Mark Hamill Joker in the TV shows, which was
the
again
animated series,
which was a bit more like again still a threat, but quite kooky.
He hammed it up,
and he hammered it. But then Heath Ledger Joker's like, holy shit, yeah, this guy, this is a great take on the character.
Yeah, put in a more realistic context. It's just, the idea of this man causing complete and utter chaos and not giving a fuck is terrifying.
Yeah.
And me and you rag on the Nolan trilogy of the Batman movies a lot in the sense of it ruined other superhero movies going forward because everything had to be like the gritty, realistic, dark, take like Batman was in those films. But like that trilogy is great.
It is, yeah, and it's one of those things where it did ruin live action. It basically ruined all Batman media for the next 20 years.
Because everything had to be so serious, apart from the Arkham games.
Welcome to the madhouse, Batman. I set a trap, and you sprang it gloriously.
Which do have some silly aspects to them, but I think as well the Arkham games had their own issue with, is it the Joker?
Yeah.
And it's even to the point where Arkham Knight, where it's the Joker's definitely dead, and he shows up in the first 5 minutes.
Well, and I guess for anyone who doesn't know, kind of the end, just spoiler warning for the actual kind of I don't remember whether it's the proper ending or the super secret ending or whatever of Arkham Knight, but there's a plot line in Arkham Knight where, actually, there's I think it's 4 or 5 people that got blood transfusions from the Joker, and it's turning them into new Jokers.
So and now you have 5 Jokers. Like that, Lucas, what do you do? 5
no,
Jokers.
Carl, because it's say there's 5 of them, I think. And it's Batman has very, 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 very illegally detained all of them in his basement, in his Batcave, for maybe forever. In jail cells, and it's he literally said to one of the guys, if you help me with your research, it'll be a few days, and then the guy's he's kept me here for months, and Batman's just super criming it up.
Yeah.
But then it alludes to, well, one of the cells is empty, who's the final one? And then Batman looks into the reflection and is you'll know soon enough. And it's even Batman becomes the Joker eventually.
I still love that amazing shit post. It's it's a picture of Arkham submerged by water. I think at the end of the Pattinson movie, whatever it was. It's this is the perfect time to introduce an aquatic villain, and just the top comment is surfing Joker. It's just Joker on a surfboard.
It's not the Croc or something like that. It's just Joker on a surfboard.
We made a video about Kiri. We talked about the Majima Everywhere system. At least they play with that as it's fun. I got so fucking sick of the Joker in those games. And every time they told you that he's definitely dead in this one, it's well, he's not, is he?
I mean, to be fair, they utterly ruined the Joker in the ending of the first one, because it was oh my god, how are they going to do a boss fight against the Joker as the final enemy?
Buff Joker.
We made him Big Bane.
Showtime, Batman! Let's give the room something to talk about.
Anyway, the Scarecrow.
Yes.
The Scarecrow made only 2 appearances in the 1940s. Batman writers of the 1960s actually revived him. In metaphorical, he didn't actually die or anything.
He just wasn't really doing much.
Yeah, and he has since appeared consistently in the Batman comic books. He was featured several times in the Emmy-winning 1990s cartoon Batman the Animated Series, which is still just the GOAT.
Which I think is every single version. That might be the definitive version of every character, including Batman. We said the Joker of Mark Hamill hamming it up, but in my head, the definitive version of a Joker is Mark Hamill's Joker in that animated series.
And, it does a great job in those Arkham games It's just that they wouldn't let him die. Literally, they wouldn't let him die.
It's like, in that Batman animated series, the Joker's in it. Joe Elf's in it. The Scarecrow. Like, don't they say as well, like, the Mr. Freeze episode is like one of the best episodes of animated television ever? And that's Mr. fucking Freeze.
The level of pathos that they give to Mr. Freeze.
Like, to the point where that pretty much ruined the character, because they could never do it. Like, they said when they were making, like, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Dr. Freeze, Mr. Freeze, like, well, the animated series basically is the definitive version of the character. We have to do something differently, because we're never going to top what they did with the animated version. Like Clayface. The bit where he's like, he's horrified, like, he has, like, the crisis of conscience about who he is. Like,
and he has, like, that breakdown of, like, one of the most finely animated scenes of anything seen in the 90s.
Of just him, like, transforming between all his different visages and not knowing who he is as a person. I don't know how you could watch something like that and see, like, what made this great? Well, they put in, one, it's really good, and two, like, no single villain or member of the Rogues Gallery is more important than the other. Like, they're all...
And also, none of them are just insane people.
No, they all have, like, some level of backstory that explains why they're the way that they are.
None of them are just a villain. And sure, there might be, like, one non-main villain somewhere that they don't give backstory to, but, like, the proper Rogues Gallery all get, like, as I say, like, actual, like, backstory and pathos, and, like, you care about those characters. They're not just, oh no, like, wacky-do enemy of the week.
I was a professor of psychology, specializing in phobias. Inducing terror has always intrigued me.
The Scarecrow here, we have affiliations, Karl. And one of my favourite ones is just the Injustice League. I love that name.
It's so simple, but it works.
You got Assorted Batman Rogues, the Injustice Gang, which I guess is that like he got demoted from the League to the Gang?
Yeah. That's when he became, like, he was just selling his drugs.
The Secret Society of Supervillains, and the Sinestro Corps, which makes perfect sense. I've never thought about that. But the idea of Scarecrow as, like, a Yellow Lantern or affiliated with the Sinestro Corps because they use fear as a power.
And he's got, like, a gas that makes everyone scared all the time.
Yep. Oh, God. What great collaboration. Like, the Sinestro Corps, sponsored by Fear Toxin.
Well, all they need to do is they just hire him and, like, make us Fear Toxin. And what we'll do is we'll make, like, constructs. Like, do you like bug spray? Like, a story high? And it just flies over Gotham, like, this story high bug spray of Fear Toxin. And now everyone's scared, so the Sinestro Corps get, like, 1,000,000 points. Also, I was just looking at, like, Scarecrow appearances in Batman media. And I just want to send you now a cover of a Batman comic where this might be the scariest Scarecrow I've ever fucking seen.
Holy shit.
Yeah, look at Malbogia Scarecrow.
So that is Batman as the Crow flies, the cover. And that is terrifying.
That's awful, isn't it? I'd hate to see that. Because that's one of the things I love about, like, the Sinestro Corps and, like, the Fear Toxin. If it gives you so much freedom to just do weird shit.
Yeah, like the moment in Batman Begins where Batman reverses the toxin onto Crane, and it's like melty face Batman with like goop and bats like crawling out of his mouth. And it's like, it's so good though.
It gives you so much freedom for interesting visuals.
And as well, those Arkham Asylum levels where, like,
where it's like
he hits you with the fear toxin, and then all of a sudden it transforms into, like, these, like, platforming stealth segments where the Scarecrow is just this giant monster hovering above you.
Poor little bat, you're in my world now.
And then it also mentions here, Karl, that Scarecrow's abilities are genius-level intelligence, expertise in biochemistry and psychology, a master martial artist, which I wasn't aware of.
I guess everyone in Batman by default has to be, because
they have to be able to fight Batman to some degree.
Even though it's way more interesting if he's just shit at martial arts and Batman is just freaking the fuck out and Scarecrow's hitting him with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
So Batman thinks he's been attacked by like a million Banes and it's just the Scarecrow with like I said, just wailing on him with a baseball bat.
Just kicking him while he's down. Then you got arsenal of fear-inducing chemicals and tactics, toxin resistance, and leadership.
Because it's really easy to keep people in line. 'Cause don't they say as well, like, these fear toxins like his most famous thing, but it's like he can make it so you see things that you like. He can like influence it to make you see the thing you love.
Right. Okay,
Like he basically just has chemicals that just influence the way that you're thinking, and that's how he gets people under his control. Of like, I'll use the fear toxin in case you do bad, but if you do good, I'll use my good toxin. Mm-hmm. It's like a drug, isn't it? It's like the Joker venom.
And it says here that one of those powers, of course, because it's just boring, is transformation formally.
Let me guess, into a giant Scarecrow monster.
After some genetic manipulation done to him secretly by Dr. Linda Fritawa, Scarecrow gains the ability to turn into a large monster with greatly enhanced strength, endurance, and fear gas he naturally emits. However, he has to be under physical strain or duress to transform. It's like, great, just make him boring.
What is it about comic books? And like, we want to try and make this character's not interesting anymore. What about if they turned into a monster?
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have to write dialogue for them anymore.
Yeah. This, I've not all the way through, but this sounds interesting though.
Okay.
Other versions of the character. One is for Crimson Mist. Scarecrow appears in the third and final chapter of the Batman Vampire series, which again, Scarecrow just sounds built for.
Pretty much, yeah. Like the visual, like Ichabod Crane. Like the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, like the Headless Horseman, perfect.
And it's Batman and Dracula, Red Rain, where his suit has been adorned with the laces of severed fingers from past victims who he slaughters using a handheld sickle knife. His targets have become more specific as he is after the jocks who used to torment him in school.
Of course, he's a huge fucking nerd.
Yeah, of course.
And what is it with the Batman series and just like nerds are the worst people in the world? Like, isn't almost every single member of Batman's Rogues Gallery is a scientist who's not respected and just turns to a life of crime?
Yeah, or
like all of Batman's Rogues Gallery have degrees. Like Harley Quinn, she has a degree.
Holly and Quinzel, yeah.
Yeah. Scarecrow has a degree. Bane has like 50 degrees. Mr. Freeze.
In like some iterations, I might just be remembering this only because of like fucking the awful movie, but like, is Poison Ivy also a scientist?
Yeah, she was like, you know, an expert in like biochemistry and plant chemistry. Mm-hmm. It's like almost every single one of the members of Rogues Galleries has got a degree. But never forget, Lucas, if you kill a murderer, the number of murderers in the world remains the same. Oh. And then just you have that amazing shit post of like Red Hood being like, so kill 1,000, got it. It's like, no!
Then they'll only be me.
Because do you know what that is right there? That is some like fence-sitting nonsense from a writer who thought he was being clever of like, why doesn't Batman ever just fucking kill the Joker? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, no, because if he kills the Joker, he's as bad as the Joker. It's like, well, the Joker's killed 100 people.
Yeah.
So if you
Joker
kill it,
kills probably thousands.
Well, that's why in Injustice, like again, riding Batman's dick of like Batman's right. It's like, no, Superman's right. The Joker had to die. The Joker, and it's not like it's like, you know, you definitively, because I know the death penalty argument is you can't definitively prove that someone committed a crime. In this case, the Joker blows up a city and kills Lois Lane, and Superman just says to Batman, I'm fucking sick because he was in prison last week and he got out. Fuck this, and just breaks the Joker's neck. And Batman's
he like punches through him, doesn't he?
Yeah, just rips his heart out. And Batman's like, that's a line you can never cross. It's like, fuck off.
But then he immediately becomes like mega Nazi.
Of course he does, because Lucas. It's written in a way that Batman can never be wrong. Mm-hmm. And I love the Injustice game. You get Injustice 2, where you have Superman executing criminals at Arkham. Because fuck them, they're all murderers. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, like, not saying that I don't support the death penalty in real life, but in the Arkham universe, where, because they have rogues galleries, and the Joker, for example, keeps coming back, Zaz, like, fuck him. All he does is kill people. And then he has
covered his entire body with a tally chart of how many people he killed. Yeah. You could count how many people he's killed because he keeps a count on his body.
Yeah. It's like, so fuck them. And then, like, I think he's going, Superman has gone too far. You can't just kill criminals. And I think Damian Wayne just says, but it's okay to just beat them half to death and leave them in the street. And Batman doesn't respond. And I think the only reason that Batman doesn't respond is because they wrote that line, but then couldn't think of an actual counter to it.
Speaking of like going too far,
let's go.
End of this Crimson Mist storyline.
What does he do?
It's like, Batman catches Scarecrow, and Scarecrow's like, his victims weren't innocent because they tortured and scared him. Batman grabs Scarecrow's vial of fear gas, crushing it along with Crane's hand that has the gas as well. Stating that Crane has no idea what fear is, as he uses Crane's sickle to cut off his head. So Batman's like, you know what, fuck you. And you know what Batman didn't do in that story, maybe, is rule the world as a Nazi. It's like he just stopped someone that was like violently murdering a bunch of innocent people.
Yeah, it's like that thing, isn't it? It's like Batman even said it's a slippery slope, and it's amazing that the writers don't never looked up what the actual word is. It's called the slippery slope fallacy, as in it's a fallacious argument that just because you do one thing, you're going to have to go all the way down the hill. It's like, no, you can stop yourself going, and that's why I say okay, you can kill 99 people and still go to jail, but as soon as you enter the realms of nuking cities full of superheroes' pregnant girlfriends, then you're fair game to be thrown into the sun.
And just on that note, Carl and I do not support the death penalty.
No, that's what I said it earlier. We're talking about the fictional universe of the Batman comics, where the Joker has killed literally thousands of people. He is personally responsible for entire city blocks worth of death and destruction. And he keeps getting out, and Batman won't kill him.
Just one piece of trivia for us, just in their debut stories, the character only used fear and intimidation tactics in his crimes. And then in the reintroduction in Batman 189, the character was established to use a signature fear toxin. Yeah, in later depictions, he had always used fear toxins. Some stories also claim it was Crane's father who first invested the chemical compound, and that Jonathan has simply refined the formula over the years, implying that maybe, his father was doing some big old crimes with some fear toxins as well. But yeah, I think that's fair enough. Maybe that's why, the character was only used twice in the 1940s, because it's just, I'm a scary Scarecrow.
Well, here's the thing that I looked up, just for shits and giggles. Do you know the variations of the fear toxin? And Joe has a version called the super toxin that was made by his dad that utilized the sweat of children under the effects of fear toxin to make it more potent.
No.
So you make kids have the fear toxin, so they're seeing their literal worst nightmares. And then the terror sweat, you put that and make a new super toxin. No.
Oh no, what have you found?
He said he has Essence de Trauma, which is the lighter version he wears as a cologne. So he just has a version that he wears as a cologne, so that he's immune to its own effects.
And as well, so you're always a little bit intimidated by him.
He's also created gas based on specific fears, such as arachnophobia. God, I hate that one. I'm so
Carl
scared.
Doesn't like spiders.
Can you imagine that'd be the scariest villain ever? Of what have you got? Well, I've got a fear that makes everyone just see a million spiders.
Because you would imagine that, fear toxin already does that. So Colin, you might have arachnophobia, sprayed with fear toxins. The thing you're likely to see is spiders.
Yeah.
But if he goes, he confirms in one of your trauma sessions with him as a doctor. He's like, I really struggle with my arachnophobia, and then he just sprays you with arachnophobia toxins. Just dear God. Just mega spiders coming your way.
So if a guy went on the news tomorrow and went, I'm gonna in the water supplies you've all been drinking, is if I press a button, suddenly all you're gonna see forever is spiders, I'd be like, give him everything.
I do really like Scarecrow. He's been a bit up and down over the years, but it's just, I love the idea of the character and the fear toxin, and it's just a really good way to kick off some spooky seasons, I think.
Yes. I'm just imagining him, though, a redesign where he's wearing an old diver's outfit. Scuba outfit, and he's got the scuba on his back. And he's
oh my God, he could be like a Big Daddy from BioShock, and instead of like the big giant just drill on his hand, just had one big giant needle.
Yeah,
and just stabs you with all of the fear toxin in one go.
That's scary enough.
Just one big old needle. And if you don't die from the puncture wounds, you're gonna die from just sweating out your fears. Why has Scarecrow never come up with fear bullets?
Like, he probably has, to be fair.
A fear shotgun. It's like, if you're not already afraid of a shotgun, be afraid of the things coming out of it.
Can you imagine if there was like a redesign where the Scarecrow's like, he ain't got fear toxin, but he just walks in with a shotgun and just calls himself the Scarecrow? Because I've always wanted to see like a reboot of like Batman, where they just say, fuck it, all of his villains are just dudes.
Just dudes with guns.
Yeah.
Just the Scarecrow is a guy that calls his shotgun the fear toxin. He's just like...
I've got fear toxin, and it's just a shotgun. It's like, that's not fear toxin, it's like, I'm pretty fucking scared of it.
Oh, but anyway, thank you all for watching.
Yeah.
And have a lovely day.
I apologise, Lucas. Yours always go long, because I always rant about something.